Thank you, Madam President, for the beautiful introduction. Good evening, everybody, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt happy, excited, pumped up? Most of us have been there sometime or the other. Well, let me tell you a story about Mr. X. Now, who's Mr. X? Do you want to guess? Well, let me tell you a bit more. Mr. X is someone who can hijack your brain, flood it with neurotransmitters, hijack the cortex, and completely take all the negativity out and throw it out of the window. Wow! Isn't that amazing? That's right. That's Mr. X. But if you want to know who exactly he is, allow me to share my screen. All right. So who is Mr. X? That's Mr. Dopamine right there. And that's how he looks among a group of people. Doesn't he look immensely happy? That's right. And that's his chemical composition. Well, don't worry about that. I'm not Mr. White from Breaking Bad, so you guys are free. However, all you need to understand is that this is the pleasure neurotransmitter. However, Mr. Dopamine also does have some extended family. Let me take you to them. That's Mr. Serotonin, the mood enhancer, Mr. Endorphin, the one who makes you laugh and giggle, Mr. Oxytocin, the one who helps you create empathy and build bonds, and last but not the least, Mr. Dopamine himself. However, as Mr. Dopamine was taking a stroll through the street, he came across a bunch of people, and there was the blue guy looking sad. He had all these symptoms. Mr. Dopamine did not think twice. He rushed to the blue guy, hijacked his brain, induced himself with neurotransmitters, threw out all the negativity. And that's what happened when he did that. There was pleasure, memory, and motivation, and he wasn't even blue anymore. He turned yellow. However, this actually made Mr. Dopamine think of ways to get into people's head and make them happy. He didn't want to see any unhappy people. So he was thinking of ways to get into people's head. And do you have any guesses? Well, if you would ask me, I would definitely say clicking selfies. That's right, very obvious from me. Look at the amount of dopamine in there, and definitely there. Not much in there, but definitely in here as well. However, Mr. Dopamine did not agree to this. He wanted to have different ways. And since he was hungry, he decided to pass by the Foley restaurant. And guess what he found there? Yes, that's right. A bunch of yatters dining. Amazing. And they are filled with dopamine. And how come? They are eating all the protein-rich food. And then he came up to the conclusion, that's a lot of amino acids, and that's how I'm produced. So definitely eating more protein would lead to a dopamine rise. However, after all the food intake, he was looking for something to burn his calorie, and he decided to get physical. Oh yeah, physical. Well, that's what he meant, just exercising. And for all of you out there who thought otherwise, let me tell you, Mr. Dopamine is already hitting you hard. Be it Chris Hemsworth's push-ups or Deepika's stretches, it definitely does boost endorphin levels and enhance your mood. And how long do you think you need to do these? Just as little as 10 minutes of any activity, and you reach the peak at 20 minutes. Isn't that amazing? However, as he finished off the workout, he decided to go bowling. And guess who he saw there? That's right, the yatters at the bowling center going insane with the high dose of dopamine. And then he concluded all that dopamine and bowling definitely led to dancing like there was no tomorrow. However, you can closely view and see these individuals who were a little low on dopamine. But Mr. Dopamine decided, never mind, and decided to move on. Now, all that exercise wore him off and he wanted to calm down. And what do you think he did next? Any guesses? That's simple, yeah? It's meditation. How can meditation help you? It definitely clears your mind, and that's a 64% increase. Isn't that amazing? 1 hour of meditation is what led to a 64% hike. It's worth a try. As he went after his meditation, he was tired and he wanted to wrap up and decided to hit the bed. But that's when he realized he had an invite from Miss Nada to attend the Young Adults Toastmasters Club. He had to rush because he didn't have to get late. He rushed to the Fraser suite and up to the 10th floor. And guess what he saw? We had someone very high on dopamine there to welcome him. And that's none other than our very own VPE. And that's definitely a high dose of dopamine in there. As he stayed for some time, he realized a group of yatters trying to click a picture. And that is exactly what the picture looked like. Now tell me, do you see anybody low on dopamine in here? They are insane in the picture, high on dopamine. Based on this, he decided to conclude, Yacht Club definitely means 100% dopamine. And I don't think anyone would dare to disagree with me on that. So being yacht was one of the ways to increase dopamine levels. However, the bottom line is simple. Dopamine definitely influences your moods. And the ways to increase that are just follow these simple steps. Having said that, Mr. Dopamine and Mr. Yacht decided to live happily together by making the world a happy place. But do remember, it's not a fairy tale. It is a choice. And whose choice could it be? Any guesses? That's right, the choice is yours. Yours, only yours. Be happy, and stay safe. Back to you, Madam MC. Thank you.